In our world today, there are a lot of people asking us to trust them. And we're sometimes wondering, who should we trust? Because everybody appears to have the right answers in the right way, and they say that if we'll just follow them, if we'll just do what they say, that somehow life will be better. And Jesus understands this. In John 10, he asks that we trust him and him alone. He says that there are other voices out there, other competing voices, but he wants to strip away their motives and their attempts and even reveal his own so that we can come to understand him and make an intelligent decision as to who we're going to trust. And so Jesus begins by using an illustration of a shepherd and his sheep. He says in John 10, starting in verse 7, "So Jesus again said to them, 'Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them.'" And so Jesus here portrays himself as not just the shepherd, but also the gate. Now, in order for this to make sense to us who are not shepherds, we need to understand what they did in the first century world when they took care of sheep. When a shepherd took his sheep out to pasture at night, he had to pin them up somewhere. And whether he built a brush enclosure or used the natural formations that were out there, he would herd his sheep into a pen, and then he would literally lay down in front and become the gate. Now, this was for two reasons. Number one was to protect the sheep from getting out, because if they got out, they'd have to climb over him, and so he would wake up and realize they were trying to escape. But it also was a means of protection to keep people from getting to his sheep. That a thief or a robber that wanted to steal from his flock would have to step over him, and that he would have to wake up and to defend them. And so Jesus says that he is the shepherd who protects his sheep. And therefore, he is trustworthy. And that in order to get to the sheep, you've got to go through him. And so he wants for everyone to understand his motivation for people to come to trust him is because that, first of all, he is somebody who is a protector. Now, Jesus is the sole gate by which we may enter the fold of God's sheep. He says, "I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to kill, steal, and destroy. I came that they might have life and have it abundantly." Now, there's no other way to enter the kingdom except through Jesus. Later, he'll say in John 14 and verse 6, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." And so there is only one means of receiving eternal salvation. There is only one fount to spiritual nourishment. There is only one gate to spiritual enlightenment. There is only one, Jesus. And so if you want to have that, you have to come through Jesus. That he says, "I'm the only one who has this," and that you need to understand that those who came before me were thieves and they were robbers. They came to destroy people. Now, even today, there are those people, those human leaders who promise us that if we follow them, they'll give what for us? Well, they'll take care of us, right? They'll give us everything that we need. Well, what they're really telling us is that they'll give us what we want. We don't always need it, but, if I'll take care of you, I'll do all of this, and what do? We're like sheep, and we follow in behind them, and what do they lead us? To ruin and destruction. Jesus says, "I came to give you abundant living." Now think about this, folks, for a minute. If you're a Christian, if you're a sheep, do you believe you have the best life possible? Do you believe that by following Jesus that you have abundant life, the real life that's available to you? Because if you don't, maybe you're not looking at discipleship to Jesus in the right way. Jesus says, "I came to give you abundant living." I came to show you what it was to live and to follow after God. And if you'll do what I say, then you'll have an abundant life. I'm afraid that too many times as Christians, we approach our discipleship to Jesus and going, well, can't do this, can't do that, oh, drudgery, no, no, no. We treat it like it's something awful. But folks, we need to approach discipleship to Jesus as he's giving us abundant life. He's given us the best life possible. Because the reality is, and the truth is that we've tried it on our own before, haven't we? We've decided to break away from the shepherd, to go out on our own, to forge our own path, and how did it work for us? Well, how many times do we need to run into brick walls, bad grass, and foul water before we realize that we need to come back to the shepherd? That he's really the one who is in charge of us, and he really cares for us. And so we should trust Jesus because he has the key to abundant living. Jesus clearly states who he is in verse 11. He says, I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And we may not think about it, but being a shepherd was a dangerous job. Because sheep are dumb, stupid animals that don't even run away from another predator. You've got Henry and George out there, and they're grazing in the flock. George gets eaten by the wolf, and what does Henry do? So long, George. He just stays there. He doesn't even run away. That's the reason that sometimes you have these stories about the sheep and the goats. The shepherd put the goats in the flock because the goats would defend themselves. And so at least there was somebody in the flock who had some sense to them. We need to understand that the shepherd lays down his life. He protects the sheep. And here, Jesus sacrifices his life because his sheep are in mortal danger, and his death is the only way to save them. Only through his death do we find life. And so we should trust Jesus because he has given his life so that we can have life. But it's not just the thief that we need to be worried about. He says, starting in verse 12, he who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. See, the hired hand isn't wicked. He's not a bad guy. He's just more concerned about saving his own skin than he is about protecting the sheep. He isn't trustworthy because he doesn't model the self-sacrifice of the shepherd. He doesn't do what the shepherd does, which is lay down his life. He goes and he runs to save his own life. And so he is untrustworthy for that reason. And he shouldn't be somebody that we follow. This is why following Jesus is so important. He says, I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. See, there is mutual recognition and knowledge of sheep and shepherd. And that we as sheep should have an intimate relationship with our shepherd. We should know that he trusts, that we trust him, that he provides for us, he protects us, he does all of these good things for us so that we can have that abundant life that he's promised for us. But more than that, the intimacy that we can experience with the shepherd is modeled after the intimacy that the Father has with the Son. And how close were they? Well, they were intimately locked together. They're one. And so can we trust the shepherd? Can we trust him to provide for us, to take care of us? Well, absolutely, because he knows the Father better than anyone else. And so, folks, who are we going to trust? Are we going to trust the thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy? And you may think, well, that's an absurd question. Who would follow the thief? All of us. Because the thief is the one who promises good things if we'll just do what he says. The thief is the one who says, I've got the answers, and if you'll just listen to me, and if you'll just do what I say, then I'll provide you with what you need and what you want. And folks, that's very appealing, isn't it? To think somebody else will take care of me and I don't have to worry about it. But folks, sometimes that thief is us. Because we'll talk to ourselves and we'll say things like, well, following God isn't really that important, or I don't really need to get up this morning. It's snowy, it's icy, it's winter. We hate winter very much. And, we're just not going to get up anymore. We're going to be the groundhog that goes away for the next 6 weeks. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of service to God, don't we? We don't want to listen to the thief, but he's got a very appealing message. Are we going to trust the hireling who is only concerned about himself? And we say, well, of course not. But folks, we do. How many times have we put our trust in a person? Oh, they're very charismatic. They're very nice. We feel like we know them. And what happens the first moment trouble comes? Out the door they go. We don't see them anymore. And then we're left going, what happened? Why am I making a commitment and they're not? And so the hireling is somebody who seems nice. They seem to have good answers, but they're not trustworthy. See, are we going to trust the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep? He has the abundant life. He has intimacy. He has given his life so that you may have life. And so, are you going to be willing to follow him? Because following him will result in not only the abundant life here, but in the life to come. And you might look at this list now in the comfort of our services and go, well, this is just really a no-brainer. Evidently, we're also going to trust and obey. We might think this is a no-brainer, but we often struggle with who to trust. Because the thief promises easy answers and worldly fun. Oh, that's all us, isn't it? We want to enjoy life. In fact, we'll complain that the reason we don't want to do something is because what?
It's not fun.
It's no fun. Why should I have to do this? This isn't enjoyable. But that's the thief talking. The hireling promises shortcut discipleship with little effort. Oh, they've got the key. They've got the inside track. And if you'll just do what they say, then you'll have it too. But they're very quickly gone when trouble comes. They don't have the sacrifice that the shepherd does. Now, the good shepherd promises persecution. We ought to sign up for that one, right? Struggle, hard work. Those are all things that we run away from. But he says, if you follow me, it will reward you with the abundant life here and the life to come. And folks, aren't we worried about security? Or aren't we worried about where this life is going to and how it is going to benefit us? We've invested in the thief before, and we found his promises to be empty. He isn't able to deliver. He leads to more problems and more persecution. We put our faith in the hireling, the person who is a Christian, and they promise that if you'll just do what they say, everything will be all right. But then they disappoint, they let us down, and we're left back to square one. It's only the good shepherd that you can trust, isn't it? Now, he doesn't promise an easy life. He doesn't promise worldly fun. He just promises the abundant life, the satisfied life, the life that we were always created to live. And so who are we going to choose this morning, folks? Are we going to follow the thief, the hireling, or the good shepherd? If you're going to make the decision this morning to follow the good shepherd, then Jesus says the way that you do that is by acknowledging him as Lord and Savior, by confessing that, by repenting of past sins and being immersed in the waters of baptism to be raised to a new life and a new beginning. But folks, for many of us, we made that decision, haven't we? We decided to follow the good shepherd, but then where did we go from there? We decided the good shepherd wasn't good enough, and we allowed the thief to come and steal us away. We allowed the hireling to lead us into dangerous paths. Let's get back to the good shepherd. Let's give our allegiance to him and to him alone. And then when we do that, we will truly find the abundant life that he has promised. If you need to respond to the invitation in any way, I want to encourage you to do that while we stand and sing.